Player 2 has entered the game.
What's up, survivors? I know it's been a minute since I last spoke to you about dead matter, and trust me, I would not wake you up from your dead matter hibernation for no good reason. So, what I've got for you today is a fully time-stamped and scrollable interview with the lead dev Nick Z and lead level designer Metamoth. After reigniting the flame with a new dev blog, they wanted to hop on my live stream to speak directly with the audience about it, the roadmap for the future of the game, as well as a massive amount of Q&A. So, once again, be aware that you do not have to watch the entire interview, just scroll to the parts that you care about most. I have them labeled for your ease. And if you want to stay in the loop with Dead Matter, consider subscribing to get notified when we do these things live with the devs. But for now, enjoy. Oh snap, right as you guys get in here too, I'm getting attacked, so hold on one second. Take this guy out real quick. Oh yeah, him too. Hold on. Jeez. Trying to interrupt our conversations here. Oh, so how's everybody doing tonight? I see we got quite a few people in here that are obviously wanting to hear more after being... You guys are probably as blown away as I was with, the new contact that we now have, the information that's coming out with the new blog. I know blogs and vlogs of this game were really huge for a lot of us, going throughout the entire development, and we love to see it, and we would love to see more of it, and I think I can speak for everybody when I say that. And I think what we kind of want to do here in the stream with Nick and Metamoth is kind of talk to the community, see what you guys want moving forward, what you guys want to see from this game, what you want to see from the devs going forward. And I think that this is a great opportunity to do something like that. So I'm here once again with Nick and Meta, so if you guys want to say what's up.
Hi, everyone.
So I guess first off, I think it'd be best to start with the blog itself, and then we can kind of branch out from there. Does that sound good?
Sounds great to me.
Sure. Sounds good.
Awesome. Also, I'm in the middle of the woods, so this is, for you guys that don't know, this is Morley Wilds. This is a really worked upon area of the game. Obviously, it seems a lot more dense. If you guys haven't played in a while or haven't been on in a while, it's looking pretty solid. Definitely looking like a nice patch of woods here. And devs, if you guys could direct me, because I'm in single player mode, towards Morley, that would be fantastic.
Well, I see a lot of trees, which does not help with locating where you are.
So I have a little tower right here. I don't know if that makes a difference to you.
You're out there a fair ways. See, it's hard to tell where you are without any directional cues.
Well, I'm bleeding. That's something. Oh, let me go ahead and use something real quick. Either way, I mean, I can find my way around. These woods are pretty enough as it is, and I think that most people are not as interested as getting to Morley as they are about hearing more about the blog, and I guess a breakdown about that.
Well, we put out, or I should say, Nick put out a letter today talking about the current state of the game. Basically just breaking down, where we feel things are, where the community feels things are, and where we're moving forward based on sort of the confluence of those two perspectives.
And I think it couldn't have come at a more perfect time. I mean, obviously, it's like I think I can, like I was saying earlier, I think I can speak for the community in saying I don't want to be attacked by this zombie, and I'm dead. But no, we'll move on. We'll try to hopefully find somewhere to respond that'll be a little bit better. Okay, now we're back in Morley Wilds. Oh, those guys look crazy. But I think that what I'd rather do is rather than me just sit here and talk the entire time, and I mean, because like the last interview we did was awesome, but I feel like I did a lot of talking in this interview or little thing that we're doing here. It's really informal, guys. If you couldn't already tell, we kind of just set this thing up last second, but I'd like to get the chat involved as much as possible. So if you guys have any questions or anything that you guys have to add about, the little note that we got from Nick, we'd love to hear it now. And I think that'll be really important.
I suppose to kick things off, Nick, do you want to maybe just give a rundown on what you had to say and how you feel about things?
Yeah, sure. Um, so how I feel or what I wrote in the update is largely a reflection of how I feel, which is that when we go back, to vlog 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, more specifically the earlier ones, we kind of sat down and watched them all out as a team, and collectively we all felt that there was a big sort of uh, almost disconnect from what we had shipped compared to what was in the vlogs. And that there's a lot of factors for that. I think that in terms of development, we've always had a very small team, so uh, correcting issues that kind of cropped up over time, like lighting, became sort of a tax on the team. Um, More a debt that has to get repaid, I would think, is a better example. So we want to kind of bring back some of the atmosphere that we feel that the game has lost. We also want to take measures to ensure that there's a lot of issues on the map right now in itself, and we want to make sure that people kind of understand that, you know, when they say that this game sucks, we actually kind of understand that, to be honest. Like, you know, I think there's a lot of things that Dead Matter can bring to the table. I worked on the gunplay and I'm quite happy with it, but I feel that there's almost so many little issues combined with, I think, the regression in atmosphere in general, that it made us sit down and think about where we really want to take this game.
Wow. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, we were all there, and there's no beating around the bush. People were pretty upset, at launch time, and
Mhm.
what to expect now moving forward after that, and where now is the game going to be, or I've heard several mentions of if there's ever going to be any type of roadmap, and actually that might actually be a good question, because I think that that's something that my community has asked quite a bit. Obviously, I don't expect anything definitive from you guys in this little talking right here, but I mean, do you guys have any plans for some type of roadmap to be bringing us throughout development at some point?
Yeah. In terms of a roadmap, we wanted to include, I think, a bit more of what our plans are in this update, but we also wanted to make sure that it was focused on us recognizing that a lot of people just aren't having tons of fun with the game like they should. And so, what we want to do to kind of rectify a lot of those issues is we're going to need to have some large changes to the game. We're going to need to make modifications to the medical system, as an example, for something that kind of sucks in terms of gameplay. There's been a lot of reoccurring bugs with that we want to put down. And so, Grant, maybe you can kind of fill that question a bit more.
So as it is, we wanted to get this first update out, like Nick was saying, just so people knew that, like, we wanted to take the time to actually acknowledge that, hey, this game isn't where you wanted it to be. It's not where we want it to be. And we need to take the time to step back, reevaluate where we are, how we got to where we are, and then try to recover what we've kind of just lost over the years. And it's like we're currently in the planning phase. We need to evaluate what needs to actually be done to make this all happen. And we're at a point where we have pretty good plans in place for what we want to do. And we're working on getting, the workflow and the tools in place so we can just go on it. Once we're in a place where that's all set up and we can say to everybody in more concrete and ideally in almost visual terms so we can actually show you what we're doing, we're going to start doing more frequent updates where we can show everybody, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we're planning, and this is where we want the game to go.
And do you guys, as a follow up question to that, do you guys have any idea? You say frequent updates. Do you have any idea of like how frequent the updates may be? Or, like I said, nothing too definitive, but I mean, you guys have any idea?
We want to do minor patches twice a month. Earlier on, we were able to keep up with that, but we felt that there were a few issues that just took too much time to kind of keep that schedule up. So now, with a lot of those issues kind of out of the way, we want to do a minimum of one update a month, preferably two. And we also want to start introducing major revisions to the game in the form of major patches. So instead of seeing the version number in the top left being incremented with the central digit, it would actually be the one to the left. And that's where a large bulk of the changes that we're planning for phase one will be coming, is in the form of essentially a major patch to the game.
Wow. Well, yeah, and I know that you guys already mentioned it too in the blog about how, you guys are going to be adding in these updates, you're going to be working with these updates, but also still trying to make the game as playable as possible during that stretch, right?
Yeah. One of the things about Dead Matter in terms of the content in the game is that there's a lot. And there's a lot of content that we can work on and also release patches to the community for that content specifically, but there's other content that we feel might need to be completely overhauled, and we can't as easily piece that out to the community. So that's where the major revisions come into place.
Yeah.
And we're also capable of doing all of this without causing too many interruptions with our regular sort of schedule, especially because we use Git internally. So
Okay, and well, I guess with that being said, I do kind of want to turn. Like I said, I know you guys are lighting it up down there in the chat right now, but if you guys have
yeah,
any,
I saw a question actually that I'd want to answer.
sure, go for it.
Someone asked about the changes made to the team. So what we are currently doing in terms of the team is we've made some changes to the actual people that are on the team. Overall, there are more people working on Dead Matter than there have ever been. We are using the funds that we've gotten through crowdfunding to make sure that we ultimately deliver a solid product, even if the closed alpha for that wasn't solid. And so right now we've got a art studio that we are contracting a large deal of our assets out to, which also includes new clothing, stuff that already fits into our current pipeline is what we're kind of using them for. On top of that, especially around, I'd say, March to about now, we've been actively hiring and bringing on new programmers such as Kyle and even Airlight as well, who are both really talented, really smart programmers, especially Kyle, seeing as he has a master's degree in comp sci, and him and I have been friends for many years. So to be honest, we are, I think after viewing those old vlogs, the team right now is actually really motivated to get a lot of these changes implemented well. And we're game developers, but let's be real, we love playing games, and I want to make sure that at the end of this, Dead Matter is a game that I can love to play. And right now, I feel like it's not necessarily there, even though in closed alpha, there's nothing that holds it back from being in that state. So that's the goal.
Absolutely. And I feel I feel what you're saying, because I mean, I feel like the direction that it can head in, there's good groundwork to where you guys can build up from here, and especially with what you guys had always shown in those vlogs that got all of us all hyped up, and I do, being completely honest, I think that was one of the biggest things that I've heard, or overall comments, is that this game that we're playing right now compared to the devlogs that we saw leading up to it. And so obviously that's something that we're all hoping that we're going to be able to see, and get like you said, get back to that overall atmosphere, that overall ambience that you guys had promised us. And I guess that's something we're really hoping to see moving forward, that we can get to that the dev vlogs, you know.
For sure, and that actually leads into a question I saw in chat that I think is worth addressing. Somebody asked, how did we get from the look of, like, say, Vlog 2 to where the game is today? And you have to keep in mind that Dead Matter is a living product. Like, it's seeing development every day. Something's being added, changed, tweaked. And, sometimes you look at something and say, hey, I don't feel the best about this. So somebody sits down and changes it. And then that change has a knock-on effect, because like anything in game development, you can't just change something in a vacuum. It's reliant on everything else attached to it, around it. If it's a piece of environment art, it means everything in that environment with it suddenly needs to be tweaked to fit in. And over the course of the years, more and more things were tweaked and had to fit in with one another. And at some point, kind of just lost sight of where the game originally was intended to go. And now we're taking a moment to step back, now that we're not as neck deep in fixes, to say, let's hold up, let's reevaluate, and let's look at what, people are actually saying about the game. Because, people aren't happy with the way the game looks. We're not happy with it. And looking back at something like, Vlog 1, Vlog 2, Vlog 3, the environment alone, like, I am a level designer, that is what I do. And just seeing that, and the idea that we could push back towards something like that, is far more motivating than trying to make something like this work.
That's great to hear. I mean, honestly, that I think that I can speak for most people saying that's great to hear. In the direction that you guys are going to be able to head with, like I said, because I know where it's at now, and it's obviously not exactly what we want it to be looks wise. But also when it comes down to optimization, I know that that's something that I'm guessing you guys are going to be taking very seriously moving forward as well too, right?
Absolutely. Without going into too many details, because of course, planning, things are still in flux.
Sure.
But a lot of the work we're going to be doing over the next while is going to allow us to do very targeted passes on problem assets to make sure the game runs right.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of work lately to optimize the game. And while I think I can be pretty safe saying that, it's kind of cool we've ended up where we are, it's not acceptable where it is right now. It can be better. We know it can be better. And we have a plan to make it get there.
Yeah. To add to that, we also had to deal with a bug that was within the engine for all of the hitching issues that we were dealing with.
Right.
So I had to actually go in and pretty much grok all of the systems that were handling that, and then I found the issue, disabled it. So a lot of the hitching right now in the game is actually within Dead Matter's code base, which sounds like a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing because we know where it is and we know how to attack it. We just have to get through the process of chasing everything that has issues that are contributing to that hitching and making sure that they are just squashed and we can move on from that.
Awesome. And back to what I had originally started with when we first got into conversation is it's obviously not just about the game itself getting better and the gameplay and the optimization and all that stuff. All that is the most important, but also us getting to be a part of it, and being as involved as possible. That way, it's like I feel like when in any situation really in life, if there's a lot of open room with not a lot of discussion about something, then that's where rumors come around and things happen, and then nobody knows what's going on, and and I feel like that could be a big issue moving forward. And hopefully if we can increase the communication,
Right.
obviously the blog is huge, the note that you gave us is huge, and moving forward we would love to see more of that, and hopefully you guys can come up with more plans to do things like that moving forward.
For sure.
Precisely. That's the thing that we're committed to right now, is not only correcting the issues in the game right now, but making sure that this communication is we want to make sure that across the board we're holding everything to a higher standard, whether that's our communication with our audience, um, whether that's the quality of the game itself. We feel that a higher quality bar that we originally had in the past, especially with some of the vlogs, we want to make sure that we are exceeding those expectations rather than falling short of them.
Fair enough. And I think by the way, I've totally gotten completely away from wherever Morley is. I just started running down the road, and I think that I'm down near the lake now.
Yeah, the mountain trails are pretty expansive. There's a lot of places for you to get yourself lost up in here.
Yep. That's yeah, Grotto Mountain. Okay. Um so I mean basically everything you guys have been saying I think makes plenty of sense, and you guys are you're saying exactly for me you're saying, and I've been following this game for quite a while. You're saying what I want to hear. This is what I like hearing, because moving forward I want this game to succeed, and I feel like obviously there's always going to be those bad apples that nothing you guys do can be right, nothing, and that's going to happen. But the general public, the general audience, that wants to play this game, we want to see it succeed. We want to see it become this amazing game come early access and all that stuff. And we want to help you guys get there.
Agreed. And actually, one thing I wanted to mention is we don't regret the launch of the alpha. As rough as it was, we would actually really prefer that our backers have access to the game now and can give us direct feedback. One thing that I try to go out of my way to do is whenever someone leaves feedback for the game, I read every single message. So, seriously, anything that people leave in that, I'll read it. And there's a lot of like little map bugs, but any sort of useful feedback that people can give us, especially moving forward into some of these major patches that we're going to be launching, we hope to really engage with people and have like a productive relationship with the community. Yeah, I feel that things were kind of I feel that we were doing that originally more when the vlogs were kind of more regularly scheduled, and we want to go back to that. We want to go back to having that intimate relationship with our community.
I see exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I will admit that prior to closed alpha, prior to all the dev vlogs and vlogs we had, it was a very intimate relationship. It was definitely both ways, going back and forth. And yeah, along closed alpha, I think there was just a lot of people that were upset. Things, I'll have to say, from our end, and you guys got to admit, chat, things did get a little bit out of hand on our side of it as well. People blew up and freaked out, and I don't think that we needed to get to that level. But
well, I mean, to be honest, I think that not to beat the drum of we got death threats around the time closed alpha launched. People tried doxing me, etc. I don't really care. One thing that you have to consider is when you start blowing up like that, and when your email is getting bombarded with stuff like that, it's very easy to kind of lose sight of why we originally had such strong ties to the community, and we want to extend that olive branch and be the best QIS that we can possibly be.
Yeah.
It's never too late, and we have the resources to really get something incredible out for early access. And right now, we want to develop the closed alpha to the point where the community is happy, and then release it on early access.
Yeah, that's exactly what what I've been telling people, and what I'd like to see too is not just, obviously we're excited about early access, the game's going to be ready to play and all that stuff by then, but being fully playable and fun and a good solid time at some point during the closed alpha is something we're looking forward to as well, because we're going to be in closed alpha for obviously a while, correct? So
yeah, we're going to be in closed alpha for a while. But we feel that once we kind of get past these initial humps and these initial revisions that we'll be making to the game, we're hoping that the closed alpha can be a lot more enjoyable for the people playing it, and that we hope to essentially make some lemonade out of these lemons. And to be honest, I feel that the direction of the game might not have sharply changed as much as it did had our community been granted access earlier. But we also have to consider that the game has to actually be functional and playable to the extent where you're able to claim buildings, etc. So,
Right. And I mean, and I feel like that's just like with any game's development. And I'm sure you guys already have plans for this too. And I think Meta and I spoke about this a bit in our last interview. But once you guys get past these initial humps in this, the optimization, and the basic groundwork, for the actual level design and all that stuff, that's when we can hopefully start to expect, even within the alpha, actual, more content and questing and NPCs and things like that. Correct?
I think I can mention that what I'm working on, eh?
yeah, go ahead.
I'm currently doing a huge pass on writing a bunch of quests for the game, actually. We have a lot of quest systems that were set up. They weren't terribly robust, so we're giving them a bit of a pass to give us more functionality there. But I'm working on quite a few interesting little things for our quest system so we can really stretch our legs on it, set some sort of reference pieces for us to build more quests down the line, and then, who knows? Go a little further with it down the line and get that integrated into our faction system.
Very cool. That's, I mean, obviously that's what I was getting at. So I mean, all that stuff is what's gonna, for me, that's what originally is something that sold me on the game, is because we, not to really get into other games very much, but you got games DayZ, Scum, and all these other survival games, having a real deal faction questing NPC system, all that stuff is going to set you guys apart in a massive way, among other things. But that is one of the things that really sold me on the game back in the original vlogs, and not to mention the looks and all the other stuff. But and it being Canadian, I've never seen a Canadian survival game before, so.
Never heard of The Long Dark?
Oh shoot, you're right. Oh my goodness, live on stream, I missed that one too. Yes, I've heard of The Long Dark. Oh,
Or The
man.
Forest?
Oh yes, the forest.
I'm sure Grant has a lot of fun stories.
He came from the forest, right? Yeah.
That is a Canadian game.
I had no idea that was a Canadian game. Ooh, backpack. But yeah, so like I said earlier too, we've been talking for quite a bit. I'm not really sure exactly what kind of questions you guys would have about that, but if you guys have any, I want to have meaningful conversation about this topic, because I think it's important, and the devs obviously think it's important, that these are things that we need to talk about so we can be involved. And if you guys love those vlogs, I don't know how long all of you guys have been following the game or how long you've been around, but if you guys have followed all this and what you originally wanted the game to be, then be a part of it. If you guys have questions, let us know. If you have suggestions, let us know. I don't know if you guys have seen anything in the chat, but it's moving super quick for me.
I got one here. Dag Nasty asking about what has changed graphically from the original vision that we can see put in the game. Anything you think we should comment on there currently, Nick?
What was the question?
What can they be told about that has changed graphically from the original vision that they can see put into the game?
The weather.
Yeah, no, the weather. I cannot evangelize enough about how much of a difference the old weather system will make on our game.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we've also been looking a lot at material systems. I won't go into the specifics, but
Sure.
there's stuff that we're looking at introducing that is theoretically not engine level per se, but we've found workarounds or other methods of bringing it forward.
I like the sound of that too. But yeah, with the weather system, if it's going to be dynamic and something that, can change, and actually not just change, but things like affect gameplay, even if it's in a small way, I think that's something that'll be massive going forward too.
For sure. And I mean, we're looking at Canada. I don't think we can do Canadian weather and Canadian winter, especially, any kind of justice. unless we really put the time in for a good, weather system that really simulates it.
Right. Absolutely. Let's see what else we got. That's an interesting question, actually. Is quarantine making things any tougher on you guys? Or are you
Yes.
guys still in quarantine up there?
For myself, I've actually been in isolation for the last 4 days, and it's not been fun. So yeah, it's very tough, especially because at the end of the day, for Christmas and stuff like that, I'd like to at least go and see some family and stuff like that. But unfortunately, the border with the United States has been closed, so there's been a lot of difficulty revolving around that. So
Jeez.
yeah, it's definitely taken its toll on me. But I don't know if I can really speak for everyone.
No, I mean, we've had team members who have come down with the coronavirus. I've
Yeah.
been very
Really?
lucky.
Jeez.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've lucked out because I live in a region that's had fairly strict enforcement of quarantine measures. So things haven't been so bad here, but it's been a mixed bag for everybody. We're a very international team. And yeah, there's Dogtooth there. He's the man of the hour who survived the coronavirus.
And
To address the question from Adrian proper, QI used to be entirely remote, but we are actually just in the process of getting our physical location fully set up in Calgary, in Alberta. So that's another point that the coronavirus is also affecting us on, is we have team from all across the world, and now relocating some of them to our physical studio is going to be quite tricky. But that being said, we also do have a lot of people that are within Canada, such as Grant, so we'll be getting some really good mileage out of it.
Yeah.
jeez. Well, I guess the next thing I'd ask, I mean, we've talked about quite a bit about the blog already, and about your note, and about your guys' I guess state of mind moving forward with the game, and what you guys are hoping to look for. But I mean, because we kind of talked about it before the stream a little bit too. I mean, what is the best way, or what are you guys hoping to get from us so that we can help you? How can what can we give you guys that's really going to help you turn this game into what we want it to be? Or the easiest way to do that, rather.
Right. So the in-game bug reporter, as a start, is so incredibly helpful. We are not a huge team. All told, we have around 20 people. And as I'm sure you can imagine, that's not even enough to fill up a server. We cannot effectively test a game of this scope, nor do we have the man hours to make that really feasible anyway. So when we have the community coming in and reporting bugs, and sometimes it is torrential, the rate at which they're coming in, like, I don't think I could put into words how thankful I am for having everybody willing to report bugs like that. Alongside that, I mean, again, I know we wanted to move on from the letter that went out today, but
Also, quick correction, just because people are talking about it in the chat, it's not 20, it's actually about 29 people are working on the game.
Oh.
Again, we've expanded quite a bit this year.
Yeah.
We've gone from about 10 or so people at the start of the year to about 30 at the end of this year. So, and we're even looking to bring on additional talent to help us work on the game. So.
And I mean, I guess I'm sure you guys aren't probably able to. Well, I guess I don't know how much you guys will be able to get into that, but I mean, what exactly are you guys looking to bring on at this point to your team?
I would say for sure we want at least another programmer, someone that knows the engine, knows what they're doing, and isn't going to cause issues with anything that they write for the game. We want to bring on more people to help with third-person animations as well, because let's be real, they're not really up to snuff. They're kind of hacked together. And we want them to be better. That, and we're also bringing in eventually some voice talent for when the quest times come around. I think as well, I think Grant, we talked about bringing on about 2 or 3 more level designers as well, and yeah, so we're probably going to be getting about an extra 10 people or so on the team.
Wow. Okay, so that's quite a few. That'll help out hopefully quite a bit. Oh, a locked door. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Dead Matter, for what it's worth, has been developed essentially on a shoestring budget for a long time, and we ended up doing very well over the summer, but we never really had an opportunity to use that capital while we gained it during the summer. So now we're using that to really make sure that the game is where it needs to be, and we also we want to make sure that when we make these major revisions, that they're noteworthy, they work. We like that door frame right there. We don't want stuff like that to
Right.
be essentially issues that just persist through the game.
Fair enough. I'm gonna try to look back down at chat again to see if we can find any other questions that people may have about stuff we've talked about so far. That's a long one. I guess I kind of did have a bit of a question for you guys. So, I mean, there's probably nothing definitive based off of this, but I mean, obviously, it still shows on the site, that it's a 2021 early access release. Is that something you guys have thought more about, or is that something that's still part of the plan, or?
Yes.
Okay, good to hear.
That being said, though, we are developing this closed alpha until our backers can play it and have fun in it. To address what Stretch Armstrong said, I would say that, just going off of the numbers that I have in front of me right now, that essentially, let me do the division really quickly. Basically, about 80% of what we earned was in the 4 months before closed alpha was launched, so we never even had an opportunity to utilize that. It's a timing thing.
Right. Finding friends in the map is a pain in the ass. Any plans on making it more simple?
I agree. Finding friends in the map is a fucking pain in the ass right now. One of the things that we want to implement, no exact ETA on this, but we want to make it so that when you finally go to spawn, you get to essentially pick your location on the map that you want to spawn at, and you can choose to spawn there with a friend as well. You're not going to be near him when you spawn, but you'll be close enough that you can meet up, get the experience of meeting up with a friend without the frustration of having to run across the entire map.
Yeah, that would make a massive difference. Because at this point, it's for me, it's been mostly like single player. Otherwise, I've come across a few people, mid game, but yeah, finding each other is a little bit tough. So that would make a massive difference.
To answer Paka, yeah, we will be moving more updates forward. We want to hold ourselves to a higher standard than we have been meeting recently.
Yeah, it's no secret that the closed alpha launch did not go well. We did a lot wrong. We're trying to come back with a better approach, a smarter approach, something that everybody can feel good about.
That's an interesting question. So it's not really a question, but I see what they're getting at. They say Unreal Engine 5 in the near future. So, have you guys thought anything about anything like that?
So we've talked to Epic about this, and we've been told that essentially UE5 is essentially the equivalent of UE 4.30. So apparently it can be updated. We could apparently update Dead Matter and bring it into Unreal Engine 5, but that's also a bit of a, we'll believe that when we can see that and kind of tangibly benefit from it.
Very well.
That's the exterior light.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, the one under the counter turns on the lights in the room that you're in.
Vonnie FPS asking about expanding the map.
Not yet.
We're currently trying to focus on the area we have. There's a lot of stuff we need to readjust pursuant to the changes we discussed in the letter we put out today. It's like we said, we're not happy really with where the world has ended up. We feel like we kind of lost a lot of what we were hoping to have. So we're going to be doing some updates soonish. I don't want to put a time frame on it, but we're going to start talking about where we really want to push the game to be.
Yep. We want to come forward with visual, sort of easy to kind of digest information on where it's going to be taken. One thing that I didn't realize before kind of we got into the stream is a lot of people have been asking for a roadmap, and we'd be happy to look into something like that in the future. But we just want to make sure that the plans that we're putting out there are solid and that we can follow through with them when we announce them, and that's going to take a little bit of time. As we said in the update, we literally can't fix this game overnight as much as we'd love to, but when you have a team that's about 4 times as large as it was at the start of this year, we're also able to move a lot faster. But in order to move faster, we also need a bit more planning. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Sure. And I mean, even with the roadmap, I mean, no rush or anything on it, but I mean, we're in November now, so then we have December, and then it's the end of the year. So I mean, obviously the optimal scenario that I would see in mind for any roadmap is to do something that's showing the upcoming year, even if it's loose, I guess would be the right word. If you guys could give us like maybe Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 type stuff, what we might be expecting to see change within the alpha in that time frame. I think that's something that we could all appreciate.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. And we want to make sure that when we eventually go to put pen on paper and announce our plans, that they're plans that we are already following through with. We don't want to announce an idea. We want to announce a tangible, this
Right.
is what we are working on. When are we going to do that? That's going to be in the near future. We're not sitting here idly and not making plans. We are actively working on figuring out what the biggest changes we can make to the game at this point are, and we will be following through on that. That being said, if there's ever an opportunity where people could potentially preview one of those major revisions, we'll definitely be looking into that as well. We want to keep people in the loop. We don't want people being unaware of any of the changes that we're going to be making or any of our plans, and that's the position that we would want to be in. We also feel that there's a lot that the community can kind of offer in terms of feedback, in terms of this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is what I hate, and that's sort of the communication that we want to foster with people.
Well, is there any way that we can, I don't know, is there any way we could streamline something like that? Because obviously anybody can go in and just, hey, here's a suggestion, hey, here's something that I think would be cool, or here's a question I have. But if maybe there could be some sort of interactive system, I don't know what I'm trying to look for here, but I don't know if chat could help me with ideas that you guys may have, but maybe when you guys are working on adding something to the game, if we're able to, now I wouldn't say vote upon it, but I'm trying to think of ways that it could be more interactive and have us, as involved as possible if we want to be.
So we have things in place already to sort of get previews out to the community. With the whole closed alpha launch, we really took a step back from that. And for the last couple of months, we've mostly just been working on trying to get the closed alpha even remotely approaching something that's workable and playable.
Sure.
And now that we're in a position where we're starting work on something as, exciting as we are, we're definitely going to be making posts about it, and we're not going to ignore the feedback we get. That's really valuable. We have a huge user base who are really, really invested in the game, so we'd be crazy not to take that feedback.
True. Have you guys seen any questions come up that you think are relevant?
Vilified. Aside from optimization, I will answer that right now. Our focus is currently on getting the visual look of the game consistent with where we wanted it to be, and correcting sort of the cornucopia of bugs and issues we had.
Yeah.
Now, there may be other ideas you guys have had based off of this, but have you considered, this is a question from the chat, have you considered adding mini games into the world when the game... Hold on, it keeps going, pushing me forward, backwards. Okay, I get the gist of the thing. I lost it, it's gone. But he's saying, is there going to, like, events or activities that the players can enjoy together, like, teammates or little smaller event type based things?
I think you're talking like ambient environmental events, all that stuff.
Yes.
We do have plans for that kind of stuff. That'll be sort of integrated into our quest system down the line. Just in case anybody here didn't catch it, I am currently doing work on our quest system. We really want to bulk it out and make something meaningful.
Options for people who recently discovered the game to pre-purchase or back the game.
Yeah, we unfortunately can't do anything about that right now. One of the things is that when you're running a closed alpha on Steam, you can't actually sell access to that. So, even if we wanted to sell pre-orders, I think we would still say no. This is the time for the people that back the game as far back as Kickstarter to get their exclusive access, and not only get exclusive access, but get exclusive access in the sense that they are allowed to come to us with feedback and give suggestions, because that is something we've really wanted for a long time with our community.
Fair enough.
Seeing people here asking about the zombie spawning, that is getting a complete rework right now. I can't speak to everything that's being done and changed. I know that feedback from the players has been taken. Not to mention, I mean, let's be totally open about this. The current system sucks. It's not great. It's not enjoyable. So currently that is being reworked to be a lot more playable for people.
I do feel like this is a good question. I basically already know the answer, but what is the point in not allowing people to film? So I guess if you could kind of address the community and explaining why there is the NDA, I think is what they're getting at.
The NDA was largely put in place because we put it in place, the plans for it at least, starting around vlog 6 or so. And that's because we knew that there would be growing pains, and we figured that while the game is in that transition period where it's still kind of, a bit rough for a closed alpha to being kind of the ideal closed alpha where people can have a lot more fun than they're having right now, when we get to the point where we feel the closed alpha is fun and enjoyable, we're happy to start lifting those restrictions on the NDA. We largely don't want people blasting this game sucks based on the closed alpha, and then have that content kind of still there when the game could be potentially completely different in early access, yet a large amount of videos kind of cover something that don't really represent it well. We want to make sure that kind of it's more of a long-term thinking process where the closed alpha probably won't reflect the game, so we don't want a lot of media out there to reflect that in the future when we hit the point of early access. That being said, if partners want to release videos and stuff like that, we're completely happy to have you guys approach us, say what you want to record, and then we're happy to let anyone kind of do what they want, so long as they just sort of kind of put the little asterisk in the corner saying, hey, this is closed alpha. And then if the video is quite old, we'd also want people to redirect them to kind of where the current game is. So it's more or less just kind of there to make sure that people don't get the wrong idea for when we get to early access.
I'm also seeing this in here. Pathfinder Plays is asking about us allowing people to make videos using the closed alpha footage. Yes, we do, and that's because we actually have a responsibility to our community. We are a crowdfunded game, and we have people who have paid us money to see where this game is going, and have backed us based upon the, I guess, merits of what we've shown them. And while I'm pretty comfortable saying we have not hit the mark at all, we still have a duty to them to show them where the game is going. So we like to allow people to join our partner program and show off content, and then we like to allow, at the discretion of that partner, of course, we like to allow that people to reuse that footage so they can talk about what's being seen. We're not so much trying to focus on marketing the game right now because we don't have a finished game to sell, but we do have to let people know, hey, we're working on this game and this is what's going on.
Will zombie animations and zombie artwork be worked on?
Yes, we are actually looking into either a mocap setup or straight hiring third-person animators to get that taken care of, but we hate their animations, and it's because we have to look at them a lot. So we understand where people are coming from on the zombie animations. It's something we've never had the budget to do in the past until now, and now that we do, we want to address them properly, along with the player third-person animations as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that was a big thing for people, moving forward as a third-person animations.
For sure. Like, you got to keep in mind, a lot of ours are very placeholder. A lot of them tend to be generated from the first-person animations just so they work. It's very much the definition of programmer art, and it is rough and it is ugly, and we want it all gone.
I think one thing that I'd want to add on to this as well is in terms of overall quality, the standard that we want to follow for everything in the game is something akin to our gunplay. We want the rest of the game to complement that rather than the gunplay kind of sticking out as one of the few gems in the pile of shit.
Yeah.
Aries Smith says, how about player desync? Any news or update on that?
It's definitely a major priority. Nothing kills a game with any kind of combat, like players teleporting around, like it's, like everybody's on dial-up. That's not fun. It doesn't look good. We're looking at a few things that we're contributing to it. It's going to take time, but believe me when I say it is a major priority for us.
Yeah, I believe Kyle actually found some issues with how melee weapons were handled, and it could have been responsible for some of the desync. So we are working to make sure that a lot of kind of the core systems of the game are as solid as the game needs them to be.
Seeing Hood left here asking about why the devlogs look so different. That's actually a lot to do with that letter that came out. So Dead Matter during development changed and evolved a lot. Over the course of 2 years of development, changes were made. In retrospect, they weren't good changes, and the game, it kind of suffered for it. It doesn't look how we wanted it to look. It doesn't have the feel we wanted it to feel. And, we can't take that back, but we can look back, see what worked well, and then course correct.
Absolutely, and I think that there's definitely plenty of time to do that moving forward. And I mean, like I said, and I think that like I said, the people that are really wishing this game success, especially the guys who are in the chat are asking the questions, staying active, are really appreciative that you guys are recognizing that. It's obvious that you are, from the note
Yeah.
and from the blog that you guys are recognizing that, the communication line needs to be open. And I seriously, every time I do the dev streams, I always, the main thing I hear is we want more. Give me more. We want to hear more about this game and be active in the development. What's changing when, not just, future stuff, but, what's actively happening right now. Obviously it's not going to be a day-to-day thing, that's impossible, but like little things here and there, if you guys can give us just extra little nuggets without having to go a few weeks without a tweet. I think is what most of them are getting at. If we're able to get just little nuggets even here and there, I think we would be appreciative of that.
Yeah, one of the challenges with Dead Matter is that over time, our user base, especially over the summer, where our user base increased by a factor of 4. That means that for every person, there's now 4, plus the original person that was there beforehand. So we essentially had, about 5 times the amount of people backing the game. And one of the things that we're doing is to make sure that everybody feels like their voice is heard, is we are actually looking into getting kind of a PR company to handle a lot of the more basic questions, so that we can become engaged and answer a bit more of the complicated or nuanced sort of questions and concerns from the community, without kind of having to do a lot of the grunt work ourselves.
That actually would be great. That's awesome to hear. I mean, not that Hank hasn't done an amazing job as is, but yeah, that actually sounds really cool. And
Yeah.
Do you guys have any idea on when you might be doing something like that?
A lot of these sort of things we can't, ideally we'd want to get the company engaged by the new year. But for the time being, we don't really know when that'll come into play. But it should be in the near future, because again, we are committed to wanting to make this work, and that's a big part of it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, in my opinion, we've really covered everything that we needed to cover. I feel really comfortable with everything that you guys have said so far. But I mean, obviously, we can always take a few more questions. If you guys are fine with it, we can take a few more questions from the chat. And then I don't want to keep you guys on here for too long, just going back and forth with me. But I mean, would you guys be okay with taking a few more questions?
Sure.
Sure.
Awesome. Is the zombie spawning on gunshots going to change? I think they mean, is that going to be, I guess, diversified, or I'm not sure what I guess they mean by that.
So we've heard the feedback. People don't care for it. Frankly, with testing, we don't care for it.
Yep.
We're working through a system that's going to be focused more on dynamic environmental infected. I don't know the specifics. I'm not working on it. I don't pretend to be a coder, but my current understanding is that that system is gone, and we're working on something that should feel a lot more natural and isn't going to mulch players when they make the mistake of firing a weapon once.
We also don't want zombies spawning in the woods. Like, we understand how ridiculous that is. A big part of that post that we made today is that these aren't feelings that we've just suddenly discovered. This is how we felt about the game, from the day that we launched it and people started playing. So I think that's why it actually took a bit of time for us to properly collect our thoughts on that and analyze what kind of went wrong, where did we lose that direction, and ultimately the test of strength for us is going to be whether we can pull the game back to that. I have full confidence in the team that we have at the moment, but we want to make sure that the community can kind of share some of that confidence that we have, that things aren't too far from being the way that they should be.
Awesome. Will NPC bandits and zombies come raid our bases?
Down the line for sure. We really want to get systems in for that. I am itching to do some environmental work based on NPC combat, because just man, that would be super fun to work on, and it would do so much for the game.
Ooh, and talking about the zombies too, I guess if you guys have anything that you can really share more than you already did about the in the blog, the massive zombie horde, that was actually pretty cool.
Well, I'm not a coder, and I'm not going to pretend I know squat about it, but
Yeah.
I don't know, Nick, you have any insight?
Yeah.
Oh, we lost the boss man for a sec, sorry.
It's
Sorry
all
about
good. It's all good.
Yeah, basically, the player, like the character that you control as the player. So, quite literally, like just your character that's running around, the human guy, that can actually be controlled by an AI as well. So the idea is that instead of essentially having a player controlling the survivor pawn, it would be an AI. And Kyle has done a lot of work on actually getting the Raider NPCs to function. But obviously, with AI, it's a long path that we have to go down to make sure that all of those things kind of feel right, especially with the setting that Dead Matter takes place in. But I'm confident that there will be a point where we bring those sort of systems fully into the game. It's just like the vehicles that are left in as spawnable but don't really work at the moment. We want to make sure that those eventually can be brought in as well, such as like the helicopter and the plane. So
Sure, sure. Down the line stuff once we get past the, everything that we've just talked about. Okay.
Seeing one here from the LX Fox, who is asking about other maps. Our current focus is on getting our southern Alberta map up to standard. It does not meet the standard right now. We're not terribly happy with where it is, and once it reaches a place where we want it to be, and we refine our workflow to meet our own standards, then we can begin expanding. There's still a lot to be added to our map. It's going to be taking a far more interesting turn, we think, once we get it to the standard we want. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Fair enough. But we have. Can we have a coder or the core coding team come on for a question and answer at some point too?
I'm right here.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nick's right here.
Just gonna, I guess, do a 2-for-1 here. Christy Fristy OP asking about how long is a little bit of time. I can't give you an exact time frame. I can say this much though. Our level design team has over the last year developed a workflow that is very robust, and we're working on tools that are going to allow us to work much faster than we have previously. Not to mention that I have colleagues who work at a pace that is quite frankly blistering as far as level design work goes. And once we get things rolling on these editions, while I'm not going to say they're going to be out soon because that's not fair if things come up or we identify deficiencies, we feel like we're going to make good time on this. And I'm also seeing here just Eric of Weird. The vision for the game was appealing. We need a hard focus on that vision. We agree 100%. That's why we're engaging in this course correction right now. We're trying to listen to what you're saying. We're trying to listen to what we were saying, and we're trying to make good on what we were originally showing you. All right, why don't we hit one final question? Anything you see there, Nick?
Let me have a good look and then kind of see if there's anything that I can kind of answer for people. If there's any programming specific questions or anything like that, I'd be happy to answer them as well.
That would be the good time to ask it, guys. Make sure it's a good one.
Dead Matter is on Unreal Engine 4.
I don't think to answer the casual jackass, I don't know if our map is necessarily too big, whereas our map is almost too dense in certain parts. And that's where a lot of the performance choke points are actually coming from is, well, the map is big, but in terms of playable area that you can walk around and run around on, etc., especially the area between Dead Man's Flats and Canmore, there honestly just isn't, enough room between things. So that's one of the things that we want to address, is making sure that that the game doesn't run into as many issues with granularity.
Sure. Well, like I said before, I don't want to keep you guys on here too long. I think you guys have answered more than enough questions, and I feel a lot more comfortable with actually having talked to you guys about it. Hopefully we can do this again at some point. I really enjoyed, obviously I enjoy being part of the game. I've been a part of the game since covering it on my YouTube channel for a little under a year now. And I'm sure some of you guys in chat have been here even longer than that. So you just want to see it succeed. You want to see it do well. But yeah, I guess with that being said, you guys have any parting words for us?
I guess for the moment, just stay tuned. This update was just the start, and we don't intend to be going dark after this. And once we're ready to start talking about what we have lined up, I think it's going to be something people are going to be quite happy about.
Yeah, like once we're ready to reveal that roadmap, we're going to reveal it in full. Even until then, we're still going to be talking to you guys. We're still going to be keeping that dialogue open, and we're still going to be trying to make the best of what content currently exists in the game.
Awesome. Well, with that then, if you guys want to exit the call, you can. I'm going to be on for a little bit longer. I'm not hopping off, so if you guys still want to talk a bit about everything we just talked about, I'm still going to be streaming for a little bit at least, and we can talk if you guys like to. Excuse you. But no, you guys, thank you for stopping by. It seriously means a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, take it easy, guys.
All right, take care.
Talk to you later.
All right, cheers.